All right, Ben. What is green but not heavy?
Green but not heavy. I don't know.
Light green. I'm our coin expert, Walt Durham,
Industry veteran Ben Parker.
and we are the coin guys from Texas. This is definitely the most Texas coin guys podcast.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely. Today we're going to be talking about collecting double eagles. Felt it's important to do a segment on the double eagles because it is such a vast series. I mean, there's over 150 issues in the double eagle series, one of the most longest lived series in numismatics. And there's not a whole lot of information out there for collectors.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the books are really dated, so felt it was important to do one on this.
Yeah, they're really impressive coins too.
Yeah, they're really cool. But first, we got gold and silver, kind of yo-yoing.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So I'll preface this with today is Thursday, the 8th.
Yeah,
Earlier this week, if you've been paying attention to all markets, not just coins and gold, but if you've been paying attention to the markets, they called it, I guess, Bloody Monday is what they're wanting to refer to it as. When the markets opened, the Dow and a lot of others were down quite significantly. And I believe at one point it was down over 1,000 points.
yeah,
And so I won't go into why that happened, but between last episode and now, there was a big retreat in all markets. Crypto,
Yeah.
stock market, everything was selling. So taking that in that context, we talked in the last couple episodes about, what do we see the bottom end being? This should be a really good sign about, one, we were right, but maybe too conservative, I guess. But gold, the market's stronger than we could imagine at this moment. We saw it lower this week, but right now gold is at 2,421. We did see it test some of those lower levels in the 23s, but boom, it's right back.
yeah. And like we've said 100 times before, if we said it once, you want to see where you want to see that strength. You want to see it go to those lows and kind of find your bottom, and then that's a sign of a very healthy market.
Mm-hmm. And what's really exciting is whenever you see a quick movement, it's in a way, some of it's a correction where you had people that sold. Who knows if they were in profit or not? You can't really tell, but people did sell gold and people did buy that same amount of gold back. So we're right back where we need to be as far as that goes. With gold's currently sitting at some of the same. Earlier this year we projected it to be around 2,430. We're 2,421. We can't be upset about it.
No, because we're always right.
Yeah. So silver, funny enough, we were really happy that it was over 30. It came back. Silver right now is at $27.49. It did pretty much the same thing. It went down further percentage-wise than gold did, but it also came back percentage-wise more. It's up just today alone, 89 cents, 3.35%. That's not bad.
No.
It's moving back toward, and you have to, when in doubt, zoom out. We were looking at less than 25. Not that long to go.
Well, see, we had a pretty big silver day yesterday, especially with local people. Mm-hmm. They saw the dip, and local people who were typically buying a few ounces here and there, calling in, placing orders for 50 ounces at a time. And I thought it was a smart move. I think it's a great move. Maybe they listen to the podcast, and anything under 30 is a buy, in my opinion. And they loaded the wagons yesterday. Mm-hmm. I mean, sold us out of silver rounds
almost instantly.
Yeah. That's a pretty strong day for locals.
Yeah. And then platinum, palladium. I can't say too much really on those. They're still doing the same thing, hovering around the same price. Platinum at $934, palladium at $906. So
I still think platinum's cheap.
I do.
I just really think it's cheap, and you can really get some rarity in there. I know the Platinum American Eagle series, like the 1 ounce pieces, they really are not popular. But I really like the pre 2009 issues, all the fractionals and those. I just really like those. They're really not widely available in the market. There's certain days that are hard to find. And at the price points that they are now, I found myself here buying platinum for stock, waiting for, some kind of move in it. And I know I say it every episode, every time we talk about platinum, and, I'll probably say it for years before it moves, but I just think if you're going to collect that series, if you want to collect a series that's affordable, that's not as expensive as gold, that has some really cool designs on it, because the proof fractionals and from 97 to '08, they have the changing reverses, so it gives you a little bit of variety in your collection. Now's the time to do it. I really, really think that now's the time to do it. Some of the Mint State 70 platinum pieces are extremely valuable, hard to find. The burnish set is the only one that I would say is not undervalued. It has held its value. I mean, some of the mintages on the burnished platinum eagles are extremely low. We're talking about mintages in the 2000s, and they've held their value because they are rare and they're hard to find in 70. So,
when you say cheap platinum, the first thing I think of, not necessarily just the bullion, because even then it is, but the fractional pieces. Any of the fractionals, they don't make them anymore.
Right.
I would never dive headfirst, all my eggs in one basket, platinum, but platinum, it's proven that people that have platinum on the side that accompanies their collecting, they just do a little bit better.
And look, here's the secret. I've said this before too. Here's the secret. Here's how dealers, distributors, wholesalers, how we make money, right? It is by picking out areas of the market that are underappreciated or overlooked for the time being, and selling and buying then and selling into the market when it becomes hot.
Yeah.
And that kind of segues into the double eagles, because I do believe the double eagles, it's not like they're overlooked, but they're not as popular as they used to be. And gold prices could have an effect with that, but that's the key way, is buy low and sell high, right? I think Platinum American Eagles, just to sum it all up, I don't see them getting any cheaper than, any better price than what they are now. I think you're buying at the bottoms, and so even if it doesn't go anywhere, it's safe. So about double eagles. Okay, so this is a very vast area of the market. A lot of issues. Like I said, I wrote a ton of notes to try to keep us organized, because there's just so much.
There's going to be a lot of rabbit holes along the way too.
So it is one of the most difficult series to collect.
Why would you say that?
Just because of how many issues and we'll get into the different ways to collect and kind of make it a little easier. There's 3 different types of double eagles, as you know. Type 1 double eagles were made from 1849 to 66.
Yeah.
They're called type 1s because at that time they did not have the motto "In God We Trust" on the back.
Right.
And then in 1866, they added the motto, which a lot of coins at that time period, we put "In God We Trust" on coins. But the type 1s were minted at Philadelphia, New Orleans, and San Francisco. So those are your three mints that you've got in play on the type 1 series. Type 2 series expands a little bit, but also subtracts, because you got Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Carson City, but you don't have New Orleans on type 2.
Right.
And then finally in type 3, which is 1877 to 1907, is the reason it's a different type is because the dollars is spelt out on the reverse. So type 1 and type 2s have 20D for the denomination on the reverse. Type 3 has the full $20. So they're considered different types because of the different strikes and the different designs on them. Type 3s were minted Philadelphia, 1 New Orleans issue in 1879, San Francisco, Carson City, and 1 issue in Denver's, or 0607 in Denver. Already you can tell there's a lot going on. There's 3 different types for a specific series is a lot. we commonly talk about New Orleans Eagles, and the reason we like them is because there's not a whole lot of going on. The double Eagles, there's a lot going on, 3 different types, a lot of issues. Like I said, over 150 different issues easily. And if you're going to collect them, if you're going to collect double Eagles, not as a typeset or anything, like if you're going to focus on double Eagles, you're going to need patience.
Yeah.
For one, you're going to require a pretty big pocketbook. For 2, and you're going to need, in some cases, you're going to need a little luck because some of these issues are extremely rare. So let's talk about the different ways to collect them. Okay, so double Eagles, again, they're almost a full ounce of gold. With gold at $2,400, obviously it's a high price point for a lot of people. So maybe that's why they're a little out of favor, because it's not like it's 2006 with gold at $600. They got an intrinsic value of $2,400 basically, with that. So the main way people collect, or one of the main ways, is a complete set of Liberty double Eagles.
Very, very hard to do that.
Very challenging. We have had a client almost completed, missing the one issue. He kicks himself in the rear end from time to time. I say missing one issue. He never went after the Paquette, the 1861S, but he had a chance to buy one of the dates for, it was about $250,000, and he passed, and he's kicking himself in the rear end now. But he's got almost every issue. Again, a complete set is not for the faint of heart. It's a lot of different issues in there. So basically a complete set is every date, mint, mark, and variety. So many of the dates don't exist in AU55 or higher, especially the type 1 issues. That's where it gets difficult. That's where a lot of your budget's going to, get sucked into, I would say. They're just, and I know you see it with collectors. They say, well, I want a mint state 64, and it's like, and I don't understand why we can't make some people understand that that's not possible. You don't have the budget for it. 1, number 2, they don't exist. Like, but some people are just hard headed and they don't want to take the time to say, no, I want a mint state. I'd rather not buy anything if it's not going to be in mint state. Well, then you don't need to collect double Eagles.
Yeah, and I see that where, there are St. Gaudens out there that you can get for a small premium over spot price, and some of them can be in a 64 condition. So you have, a $20 piece that you're getting in a 64. When you talk to them about a $10 piece or some of these others, and that a 64 is easy to get, something misses. There's something that doesn't connect in them understanding, and I don't know. It's
on certain issues.
Yeah,
they're available, and certain issues they just don't exist. It's like saying, "Hey, I want a unicorn for a pet, and I'm not going to buy any pets until I get a unicorn." It just doesn't make any sense to me.
It just shows me that they're kind of new to that area.
But so I talked about earlier how the double Eagles are kind of not as in favor as they were. It's kind of a cold market. The market was really hot after the SS Central America, right? Early 2000s. Type 1s came, there was a lot of Type 1s found, and market kind of picked up.
Yeah.
Not the case today. Type 2 issues have been promoted heavily. Still not in favor. And I'll tell you why the Type 2 issues have been promoted heavily. I like the Type 2 issues just because none of them are like stupid. Like, you can actually complete it, right? If you're just focusing on Type 2s. But so, and that's why a lot of, dealers promote them is like, hey, it's to understand the way of collecting. It's not everybody has $1 million to spend on a coin collection. So type 2 double eagles, if you're going for the complete set, they're not going to give you too many issues. The type 3s get messy, and this is why it's hard for places like us who have both sophisticated collectors and very new collectors. What do you call that? Novice. Yeah. Very novice collectors. It's because the type 3s are just, they're messy. There's some proof only issues in there.
It's just one of those segments of coins where you can get one. Hey, this one's 4,000. This one's 5,000. Okay, this one's 10. Okay, this one's 200,000.
Yeah,
it's just it'll
so
surprise
that's
you.
what I meant by messy. Is like there are some really affordable type 3s out there. 1904 example. Then there's really rare birds out there that are just $250,000.
Surprisingly rare. Yeah.
So for an average collector, that's messy. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Is that messy? I don't know any other way to say it. It's messy. So if you're going to collect the complete set of double eagles, good luck. And it's going to take a lot of time. This is not a set that will be put together in a year or two. This is a meaningful set. And by all means, if you're a person of the means to do it, it is a very challenging set. It is very fulfilling when you complete it.
This is something that most people spend their life building.
Yeah. So this is why I think the market's a little cold on it, because you need the top end collectors, you need the low end collectors, and you need the middle collectors. If you look at any market that does well, why does modern coins do so well? Because you have all three tiers.
Something for everyone.
There's something for everyone, and you have the really specialized people, and then you have the low end people, and then you have the middle of the road people. If you're trying to complete a complete collection of double eagles, every variety that's ever made, there is no low end on that. I mean, even if you found all of them in train wrecked, coal condition, uncertified, it's still not low end. That's a lot of issues. It's a lot of money, and it's a lot of time. So that's why I think you're going to see, or that's why I don't feel like the series is ever going to come back extremely strong to complete the entire set.
Yeah, there might be, when you look at that, a few people each generation that might even attempt that.
Yeah,
of all the collectors out there, there might be a few that actually attempt to finish a complete set.
Like people who own like major sports franchises,
and it's almost
something.
Always business owners and things like that. They have to have bankroll for that. It's literally the biggest gold coin, and some of those are 6 figures. So
historic pieces, nonetheless. There's going to be about 8 dates in that collection that's going to run you 6 figures. Mm-hmm. The 54.0, 56.0 come to mind real quick. We know a lot of New Orleans issues. 54.0, 56.0, 1861S Paquette. That one going to run you some money. The 70cc, and there's 3 proof issues that those are 6-figure coins any way you slice them. So that's a hefty price tag for a lot of people. And then you literally have 12 to 15, probably more, that are going to be mid to high 5 figures. So pretty challenging set to do the complete. So every one.
I will say this: if you're listening to this and you're just, oh my gosh, these double eagles, there's no way I'm ever. Just hang on a second, because we're starting off with the most difficult way to collect.
Right.
Coins.
That is the most difficult way to collect them. We're going over the different ways people do collect them.
Yeah.
And if you want to just give it a shot and see how far you get, that's a thing too.
I mean,
really,
more power to you.
More power to you. Like I said, and it's not impossible. I mean, like I said, we have one client who's 1 coin away, and now where the prices of that one coin are at, he's just
Doesn't want to do it.
doesn't want to do it, but doesn't want to get rid of the ones he has.
Exactly.
So, another way you can do it, and this way gets a little easier.
This is, it's easier. Anything from this point on is going to be easier.
Yeah. Is a complete mint set. So obviously, like we said, 5 different mints produce double eagles. Carson City, very popular. New Orleans, Philadelphia, and San Francisco. Those are pretty much, kind of leave Denver out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Denver's, only like 1 or 2 issues. Like,
Yeah.
Denver's the redheaded stepchild of the double eagles. There you go. The Carson City set is popular, but it is difficult. Reason, like, Carson City just is popular in anything. It doesn't matter if it's Morgan Silver Dollars. It doesn't matter. People love Carson City. The historic, Americana feel of
Wild West, everything going on. Yeah.
But the reason it's difficult is, again, price points. Price points on these, you're going to have a lot of coins that run 6 figures. I mean, a 70cc that just is marginal is going to be what, 200 plus?
At least.
I mean, I would say.
Yeah.
A lot of the keys come from Carson City. I mean, and
it is Carson City.
It's Carson City. So you could collect, if you're going to collect, a mint set, and you go after every Carson City issue, you go write down every Carson City issue. You could over time, you could build a Carson City set. Again, that's a little more specialized, but a lot more easier and more affordable than going after the complete set.
Right.
Like we said, is extremely challenging and very difficult. We do see a lot of, because we do get so many people into New Orleans Eagles and half Eagles, we get a lot of people who transition into, well, they want to stay in the New Orleans. They like the history of the New Orleans Mint, and they move over to the New Orleans Mint set. That set is a little more easier
than Carson City.
It's
a little bit, but there is.
There's
what is it? There's the 44. There's one
54.
key. 54. There's that's the key date. Yeah, 1854.
540 and 560 are tough.
Yeah, you'll be lucky if you see it for
anything
close.
reasonable.
Yeah, close to 100,000. That'd be.
So if you're going to collect the New Orleans issue, the reason why we have a lot, and again, time. These are things. If you're collecting, the true thing of collecting is to present yourself a challenge and feel accomplished when you get there, right? And it's only 13 issues, right? So you're already coming down considerably from the 150 plus different varieties that are out there for the complete set. So specializing in New Orleans is a great way to go.
Yeah.
If you want to build build a challenging set that will take time and money, but will give you something really cool at the end.
Yeah.
Like we said, 540 and 560 are obviously the keys. The 50 through 530, they're rare and uncirculated. But man, XF45 examples are nice coins.
Yeah.
We have a lot of collectors who like the big coins like that in XF, AU, low grade AU, just because they look old, right? And so, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's collect within your budget. You don't, like we said at the beginning, you don't have to have everything in Mint State 64.
No, and we've said it before. If you're paying attention and you want to be a little bit smarter about how much money you're putting out for these and your budgeting, look at, how much the price increases based off of the grade. You'll be looking at any coin, and then once it gets to a certain point, in modern it's 70s on some things, and pre-1933 it might be 63 for 1 year, 58. But then you'll notice there's a big jump in the price. We've always recommended, if you want to go for the best, go for the best. But if you want to go just behind that, get just before that price jumps up along with the grade.
Right.
And that's really where you want to be. There's going to be more pull on the price over time, but if you're budgeting for it, that's what I would try to do is look where, hey, there's a big price jump. Let's go just before that. And that could be a 45 in some of these years. It could be a 50, 58. It just depends.
Right. So to sum up the New Orleans issues, 13 issues. It is a challenging set. Don't hear us wrong on that. It is less challenging than obviously the whole 150 different varieties. It's a challenging set. It is somewhat expensive. And it's going to take some time because there's some issues that are going to take some time before they come on the market. It just is what it is, but it's a good, especially if you're a collector of New Orleans Eagles and you've completed that and you've completed, maybe half Eagles in New Orleans and you want to add to that collection. The O-Mint 20s, double Eagles, challenging and take some time to build, but good set to build if you've got the means to do so. The next way you could go with another mint, you said, is probably Philadelphia, right? They were made from 1850 to 1907 without interruption. So there's some dates there. Yeah. And again, with gold being at $2,400 an ounce, we're not talking about collecting an entire set of silver eagles here. This is, this is for some specialized stuff here. The key issues on that are going to be 59, 62, and 63. Those are going to be your three keys. Now those, again, they're rare and uncirculated, those key dates, but they're available on like higher circulated grades. None of the type 2, I wrote this down to make it a point. None of the type 2 issues are rare from Philadelphia. And when I say rare, that word is thrown around a lot. Rare, and people use it in different ways. For the sake of this, when I say rare, I mean rare. Yeah. Like just absolute rarity, something that's expensive. None of your Philadelphia issues from type, and that's why I hinted earlier, you see a lot of people or a lot of dealers or marketing firms specialize in type 2s because none of them are just absolute stoppers.
Yeah.
You do have some proof only issue dates in there though. So the Philadelphia set, not only is it more coins, it's a lot of coins, it's a good chunk of coins, which means a good chunk of metal, which means a good chunk of money. Got some good rarity in there, especially with the proof only issues. It's extremely challenging to say the least. Extremely. To do a Philadelphia only issue set.
So if you had to perhaps create a tier system and say most difficult to least difficult, so far we've talked about the Carson City. Would you say Carson City is the most difficult?
No, I would say Philadelphia is probably the most difficult.
The quantity?
It's probably the most difficult. I'm not saying it's the most valuable. I'm just saying it's the most difficult.
Okay. Then probably Carson City. Then New Orleans.
And then, of course, you can go into the San Franciscos.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do the San Franciscos. San Francisco, on all the Liberties, they were pretty well struck. Mm-hmm. There's only one issue, and you can leave the issue out, the 1861S. You can leave it out if you wanted to, I guess, because that coin's going to be your challenge. That's your holy grail. That's your 83.0 if on a 10. But yeah, so if you're going San Francisco, they were struck continuously from 1854 to 1907, with the exception of 86, obviously. Again, there's two issues that are going to give you pretty good problems. And when I say problems, there are two issues that are going to take some time before they even come up on the market. And you better have money for them. 61S and the 66S no motto. So the type 1. Those are going to be pretty difficult for you to find. But this is a set that if you're a collector of limited means and looking for something to specialize in, San Francisco would be where I would lead you. Again, the double eagles for the average person, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
If you're a higher end person, and what I mean by higher end, if you have the budget because we understand on this show that there's people the most expensive coin that they've ever bought is probably $250.
Yeah.
We have people here, the most expensive coin they ever bought is $1 million. We get it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of in between. So, I don't want to scare people away from the Double Eagles. I think it's a great series, and I think there's ways to collect it. There's ways to incorporate it into your entire collection that make it make sense. But if you're going to collect by the standards, just understand that it's going to take time. It's going to be challenging. Coins are going to pop up, and you're going to have to be liquid, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But definitely San Francisco is a way to go down that journey. If you really love the Double Eagles and want to start making a journey. And look, would you say that we deal with a lot of collectors. Do you say that a lot of collectors start something knowing that they'll probably never finish it?
I think most people have an idea whether or not they will finish.
Yeah.
But they can't say without a doubt, one way or the other.
Because I feel like when we get into this, when we teach people to get into the specialized areas, right, like New Orleans Eagles or Double Eagles or whatever, that they're just basically, I'll get the issues that I can, and I'll piggyback off of the rising market of everybody collecting, and I just kind of feel that way. I don't know if it's necessarily true. I just feel like some of our people, I don't think they come out and say it though.
Well, I would say the best approach is just start out somewhere and just try to have fun along the way, picking up some of these coins. And, life changes so quickly. So if you can only get, you started with intentions of, I'm going to do as much as I can, and as much as you can is 5 coins, there's nothing wrong with that. Some people they're able to go get 15. Some people are able to get 100. I don't think people get into it. Now, I will say some are, I'm getting 1, that's all I'm doing. And they know they just want an example, some kind of their foot in the door at the least.
Right. Again, a lot of people who own Double Eagles are type collectors, you know, so that's another way to collect, is one example of each type. So it's a 3 coin set. Almost everybody can do that, right?
Yeah.
Again, it's going to cost you more than $250, but everybody, it's a 3 coin set. You get a type 1 example, you get a type 2 example, and you get a type 3 example. Now, you can go get a 1904 type 3 example, or you can opt for something a little better. Like, you could really make that your own on a type set. Excuse me. I would say if you're going to narrow it down to just a type set, get some rare issues. They don't have to be the rarest issues of each, but don't get the 1904. Get, something with some substance in it. And that way you get an example, and you can put together a really nice collection, 3 coin collection. And I think for a lot of people, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Especially, it just doesn't require that huge commitment, and it does look nice. You'll have an example of each, the motto, the no motto, the motto, and then $20. So you get to see the 3 different eras of history right there, 3 different time periods in American history.
It's something that looks nice in a display box too.
Big, beautiful gold coins.
Yeah.
Something that's very impressive when you show it off to people. Something that has intrinsic value, historical value. I really like the typeset approach for most people.
It's a great place to start.
Yeah. So yeah. And again, you could build off of that.
Yeah.
So you could go get, even if you just went and got 3 of the most common examples of each type, you could say, well, I really like the type 2s. I'm going to go see if I can complete a type 2 set. That's the more and more I think about it, that's the perfect place to start.
Yeah.
Is the
example of each type.
Yeah, typeset. is what I would call it.
Yeah.
The only other way I think people own double eagles that are more, I guess, affordable is that they own them in like a 4-piece Liberty type set.
Yeah.
And then, then you just have basically Liberty stackers who are just stacking, investment grade,
Yeah.
$20 Liberties in there. Another way you can collect, and this gives you a little more freedom. This is I don't want to say like an official way to collect because you can collect any way you want.
Yeah.
But like one of the popular ways to collect is a complete year set. Again, that's just one example from every year. You're going to leave 1849 out.
Yeah.
It's just one example from every year. So you could go find the common issue in every year and get that example. Again, the 86 is going to be your stumbling block there. That is a challenging coin. It's rare and expensive, to say the least. Yeah, but for a normal collector with an average budget, you can't say $2,500, but I don't know. I'd say $3,500 to $6,500, a coin,
Somewhere around there.
Around there, you could go, give or take some examples. Some examples are going to be more, obviously, but it's a way to do it. One example, so you might have a Philadelphia from this year, a San Francisco from this year. Probably would leave out the Carson Cities, but if you wanted to build a better set, you'd have the Carson City issues. There's so many ways you could do it, right? But if you're a collector of means, you have the money, right? And here's what I've found out. People who have a lot of money, a lot of times don't have patience.
Oh, yeah. That's usually how it goes.
So, or they don't want to, or they have other things that they devote most of their time to. So time is their missing asset. They have the money, and it's always reversed. The people who don't have the money have the time, right? One of the ways I would say you could go about it, and we've talked about this on a previous episode, is just a key date collection.
See, I like this because this is a way that, you said with the means, this is a way that a lot of people collect other items like cars, for instance.
Right. You just go after the rare issues.
Yeah, because you don't want to have a garage full of every Ferrari from every year. Now you might, but they're going to go after the really special ones that make sense to have. So
and those special ones are what carries the entire set anyway. Like we've said before, in every series, the key date coins carry the value of the entire set. So if you wanted to do a key date double eagle set, here are your issues. It's 7 double eagles, 54.0, 56.0, 61S, 70cc, 83, 84, and 87. That's your 7 issues. Tackle them one at a time. Again, going to cost some money.
Well, yeah, they're the key dates.
So. they're going to cost some money, but again, it's even if you buy one a year, it's 7 years. You have a
very easily $1 million collection.
Yeah, and you've got good coins.
Yeah.
So that's basically. I mean, is there any other ways to collect them? Like you could really.
We kind of touched on one that really, the best way to start is one of each example of the type set. That's really the most popular way, I would say. That outside of, we briefly touched on it, where people will end up building a Liberty type set, and that's one of each of the denominations. They're going to have the 20 part of it. So that's really the only way that you could do it, other than smaller sets.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking in my head. Like you could take, and a lot of people do this, 1900 to 1907, kind of focus on that those areas. 20th century.
Maybe all of the mint marks from one individual year. That would be, we're breaking it down from a complete down to, hey, I have every from this year.
Don't hear us speaking I don't want to sound like we're speaking negatively about double eagles.
No. It might come across as that we have that connotation with it, but really, there's so many different things that you can go about this. Even if you just get one of these, you're doing great.
We just understand that the vast people who listen and watch, and the vast people who are in coins, what the U.S. Mint say, there's 100 million coin collectors out there. Okay. How many, what percentage of them spent $2,000 on a coin before?
Yeah.
A smaller percentage. So that's why we know what we're saying when we say, these are very specialized areas. These are, difficult to collect for the average person, because we know most of the people who listen and watch are, these are big boy coins for them.
So I have a question. There's one thing that's come up a couple times where, one thing that kind of revitalized the market was shipwreck. Mm-hmm. So what are the chances, granted this is going to be a statistic that we're just making up, but from what you understand, what do you think the possibilities are that another hoard is found or another shipwreck? What do you think the odds of that are?
I think overseas, there's probably some hoards.
Just sitting there still waiting.
Yeah, in European bank vaults and stuff. So that can kind of, you have to take that in consideration. Mm-hmm. Because look at the Morgan Silver Dollar series. There were several issues that were considered extremely rare in the 50s that are common today.
Prior to the GSA, right?
Right. But now they're common. Mm-hmm. And there are issues that were extremely rare that are just rare now because of hoards coming out. So that's something to keep in mind. Mm-hmm. The kind of saying I've heard before is, and I think it's a BS statement, is, stay with the Type 2 double eagles because those were transported by train instead of ship. So the probability of a shipwreck coming up is higher than the probability of that's BS, because just because there's not a train wreck that's going to that we haven't discovered, that's not going to come up, doesn't mean that there's not a hoard of them in European bank vaults.
Yeah.
So don't fall for that. That's a marketing tactic, and I don't like it.
It's just it's using terms as the definition of it, like the chances of them finding it from a railroad. Yeah, that's not going to happen because that's just not going to happen.
Right.
So yes, technically a shipwreck is more likely, but you have to take in, like you said, you have to take into account that those coins would be in the hoard anyways.
Right.
So,
and you got to remember, $20 was a hell of a lot of money back in the 1800s and the 1900s. So it was used to pay off debts, from the U.S. government. They're in European bank vaults. Are there rare issues? Are there, I'm not saying that there's a hoard of, 54 O's over there or something, but there could be 4 or 5 that come out that are really nice that would really kill the value of, it's a possibility. I'm not saying it is, but these are things to keep in mind, right? Yeah.
The good thing is, as more time goes on, though, the likelihood of that happening decreases with each year.
Especially nowadays with gold prices being, we've seen the run in gold prices. I mean, we saw it with the New Orleans issues. When we first started recommending and specializing in New Orleans Eagles, we were getting a lot of our Eagles from overseas, certifying them. And that's why we had at one point in time, it wasn't uncommon for us to have 11 to 15 1903 O's in Mint State 61 in stock. You don't see that anymore. I mean, those places have dried out, especially with gold prices going up. Yeah. They're more willing to sell it because to them, it's gold. It's $10 gold liberties, right? So the probability, like you said, as time goes on, the probability goes down. I get it. I'm with you, and I agree with you. But there's still a possibility. Keep it in mind. But that's a possibility with every, pre-33 gold coin.
Yeah. I would say the other thing you need to keep in mind when building this type of collection, because if you're getting Morgan silver dollars, for the most part, just go ahead and buy them at the coin show, have fun doing it, get them. They're Morgan silver dollars.
Right.
$20 gold liberties certified in specialized collections like these. Well, first thing you said, you got to have patience. Check what you're doing. You want to make sure that I would not buy any of these if they're even relatively rare, not key date, but I would avoid any of these in a raw condition. Mm-hmm. Everything for sure needs to be certified. Enjoy, whenever you have to be patient, most of the time it might be upsetting, but take time to use that period of time between those purchases to say, hey, this is the next one I'm looking for, do some more research on it.
And here's what I'm going to say, because we get a lot of pushback sometimes from people who say, you're always trying to get me to buy certified stuff. Let me tell you something. We'll help people, well, I only buy from reputable dealers. I get it. I understand. I'm not, because there are dealers out there who specialize in ungraded stuff, and they are legitimate and their grading's accurate. You buy an XF $20 Liberty from them, it's going to be XF. It's not going to be cleaned. It's going to be a true XF example. It's just not certified. The problem is that freaking dealer is not going to be with you or your heirs when that goes to be sold. Mm-hmm. And you're going to run into problems down the road. So people think it's not a marketing tactic for us to say you want certified coins. Buy NGC or PCGS or now CACG. It is a real life, making your life easier thing. And it frustrates me sometimes when people just no, I'm not buying certified. We are trying to make it easier on you down the road. We only handle, because Ben Parker is not going to be with, John Smith when he goes to sell his $20 double eagles.
Right.
John Smith might be a great collector and knows how to grade coins and knows original color and knows how to spot coin doctoring. But if John Smith dies, his daughter or his grandkids do not know. And guys, NGC and PCGS and CACG exist for a reason. Use them. Yes, they are cost more money, but they bring more money.
Yeah.
Why? Because you eliminate the risk of the dealer who's buying it down the road, or the collector.
Yeah.
You eliminate, and the less risk,
the
more money. Think about gold jewelry, right? I don't know if you know this, but if you go to sell, your broken gold jewelry, I did a research one time around here, and depending on where you went, you mainly got 20 to, at high end, 65 cents on the dollar. Mm-hmm. Imagine if you had a certified assay certificate you would get more money. But the reason you get 20 cents to 65 cents on the dollar is because there are fake, stamped jewelry items. And unless you have a $20,000 XRF machine, that buyer doesn't know it. So he has a little more risk, so therefore he has to pay less. The more you can eliminate risk for the person you're selling it to, whether it be a dealer or a collector, the more money you're going to get out of them. Obviously, too, the other benefit is if they're stolen, you have a unique serial number to it. And yes, I've heard people say, well, they could just crack it out of the holder and then resubmit it. Yeah, but thieves don't do that. They just don't.
Yeah.
Doug Davis with Numismatic Crime, he's done an awesome job. I get emails every day on pretty much every stolen coin that's reported, along with serial numbers. It doesn't matter if it's stolen from a coin show in Alabama, if it's stolen from a shop.
It's a whole network.
It's a whole network of dealers who are on the lookout. And there's just so many benefits to going certified. So,
when's the last time you bought tires?
A month ago.
Okay. So I'm sure, at any place you go to, you buy your tires, you can spend a little bit more money and get, they have different terms for it, but road hazard or whatever, the insurance on it, maybe $8, $10, or maybe a little bit more depending on the tire. But it's covered. If something happens, you're going to spend a little bit more. It's almost like that, where if you just spend a little bit more, certify your own coins, but buy them certified, do something along those lines, because in the long run, it's just going to be worth it.
I agree, 100%. Yeah, I mean, you see,
we agree.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into a few tips for collectors.
Okay.
Who are out there. So is there any tips you would get somebody who wants to collect double eagles? Any tips you have for them?
Do research.
Work with a good dealer. If you know.
Yeah, I would say do research. You know, especially if you have a good dealer, then they'll tell you a lot. They'll be able to, you know, they've taken all that time and information they've built up. They give it to you concisely. They have reports. You know, we have all the information that we have. You know,
right.
If they're good about it, they'll be able to give you the shortcut to getting to the information you need to know. So do research, spend time learning more about these coins, the mintages. You know, just go just past the surface.
Right. I would say lower your expectations. And I don't mean it in a mean way.
Yeah.
Just on certain issues, like especially type 1, like we have a lot of collectors who see like abrasions in the field and they're just really dissatisfied. Like they think the coin's going to be, you know, spotless. I can think of a couple people in mind when it comes to, and understand that if you're that type of collector, you're not going to be happy with type 1 or type 2 issues. You're just not. You're not going to find a buttery smooth $20 Liberty.
And you might not necessarily want exactly buttery smooth. You know, there's a whole thing about eye appeal that we might have to talk about later on. But if you are that, what's a good term for this? If you're that specialized and you have a certain demand that you want met whenever you're buying your coins, just understand in the way of lowering your expectations, this set already was going to take you some time. And if you're going to be really, really precise about it, expect to spend at least 2 or 3 times as long.
Yeah.
You might not even finish that set.
Agree. And when I say, like, it's people who, not being mean, it's people who don't know how to grade. Mm-hmm. They're average collectors, but they're just, the abrasions turn them off for some reason. You have to lower your expectations if you're going to go to double eagles again. It's kind of like Morgan silver dollars. You know, people see a Mint State 64 Morgan silver dollar and expect it not to have bag marks. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by lower expectations. I'll leave with this tip here. To me, this is probably the biggest tip. Don't overbuy common issues. You know, don't buy these meaningless issues in extremely high grades, because you could take that money and go to a key date and be much better off. I've said it 100 times and I'll say it 100 more on every series. The key dates are the ones that carry the entire series. Jay Leno is a famous car collector. He doesn't own every Ford Mustang out there, but he owns the rarest. And if you look at coins like you do cars, it just makes so much sense. You know, you don't expect Jay Leno to have every Ford Mustang that's ever been made.
But he's got the ones
or
that
every
matter.
Corvette or whatever he collects. He's got an extremely limited issue of this. So even if you just wanted to do that, if you say, hey, I don't want to be a specialized collector, I want to be a coin collector, and go buy a rare issue O-Mint 10 and a rare issue Double Eagle and a rare issue $2.50 Indian, and that way you have a collection of just rare issues, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's probably a pretty smart thing to do. So don't overbuy. Don't go spend a ton of money on 1904 20 on a high grade $20 lib when you could turn it into a 70cc or something.
If it's not a key date, it can wait.
There you go. I like that one. Good coins aren't cheap.
Cheap coins are not good.
There you go. You got anything else, Ben?
That's it.
Well, until next time, guys.